Hello bro and welcome back to the channel. This is your coach Arnav and I've been a dating coach for the past decade, helping men like yourself get into a fulfilling relationship that you deserve. So if you're single, consider clicking the subscribe button. Now, this video is going to be the most important video on this channel because having a failed first date means तुम्हारे को self-identity issues होंगे, low self-esteem होगी. It raises a lot of question marks in your head. When a girl flakes on you or a girl does not agree to meet you on a second date or she sends you a message like, oh, I'm not feeling the sparks. It sort of kills your self-identity. Is there something wrong in me? Is it something I did on the date? इतने सारे questions हो जाते हैं and this takes me back to my first date. So even before I talk about these top 10 mistakes that I've analyzed with my clients, I want to talk about my own first date. Now, a lot of people commented in the last few videos that I want to hear the story of your first date, what exactly happened. So my first date was a horrible experience. I want to share why. So I did my cold approach. This was probably my first or the second cold approach that I ever did. And I landed lucky. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Now, when I was studying in Singapore, back in the day, it was 2014 or 15, Clarke was a place where everyone used to come with their drinks, with their friends, and they used to sit over there and have a good time. So I was sitting over there with my friends and we were eating a burger and I saw these two girls trying to climb up on the bridge. These girls were not able to climb up on the bridge. So I just went over there and I gave her my hand. Ki, let me just try to help her and get her over the bridge. I helped her come over the bridge, but uske baad main freeze ho gaya. I had nothing to say because this was my first or the second approach technically. I had nothing to say and I froze. And I was just looking at her. She's like, thank you. And I'm like, okay. And then I just went back and joined my friends. Next thing I know, she came back to me. She offered me a chip and then she also gave her number to me. And I was just amazed. Like, I didn't even do anything. I was overthinking about the cold approach so much. And it was probably the most horrible approach I've ever done in my life. Probably one of the most horrible approaches. But even after that, I got a number. So I was like, okay, this is weird. I mean, I didn't do anything by the book, but I still got a number. And for you guys who have not done a cold approach till now, this should be an inspiration because you never know, you have beginner's luck sometimes. So uske baad I got a number, but number aane ke baad I didn't know how to text. I was really bad at texting. I don't even text my friends at that point. So I was just texting her some weird pickup lines online. I searched these online pickup lines. You're the only 10 I see, like very cringe pickup lines. And I was just sending her that. What is the direction to your heart and shit. I still remember that. And it took me 3 months to convince her to come out on a date with me. Now remember the fact that I said convince her. This is actually one of the biggest mistakes men make. They convince the woman to come out on a date with them rather than getting the woman excited. And that's exactly where I also went wrong. So I convinced her to come out with me, but I have zero date experience. So zero date experience ki wajah se, I have no idea kaun si location select karni hai. I have no idea which will be the best date location. I have no idea how to behave on the date. I have no idea what is going to happen. I've never been out on a date before. And this is a date with a Singaporean Chinese girl, a different culture as well. So I was thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be a little traumatizing. Rather than having fun on the date, rather than thinking that, okay, I'm going to enjoy this date, I was shivering. I was like, okay, I'm going to meet this girl tomorrow. I've been waiting for this moment since 3 months. Let's not fuck this up. Let's not fuck this up. Never do that to yourself. Now, the next thing we did, I set up a location called Izakaya. This was a floor-seated Japanese restaurant. I'd never eaten Japanese before. Now, I went to the restaurant and now it's been 3 months. 3 महीने से हम एक दूसरे से बात कर रहे हैं on text. The girl has some DP, which is like a scenic beauty. So I can't even see her face. तो मैं जाता हूँ वहाँ पे to the restaurant and everyone is seated on a floor seating. It's a Japanese style restaurant where people are seated on the floor. तो मैं ऊपर से देख रहा हूँ and I see this girl sitting and I'm like, okay, I'm not able to recognize the girl. Because first thing when you go to a Singapore or in Southeast Asian country, what you'll realize is you will not be able to differentiate. Especially people you've met like 2-3 months ago, you will not be able to recognize them. I was not able to recognize her. I thought the best way to move ahead is to call the girl and see which girl answers the phone और उसके साथ जाके बैठ जाता हूँ. Now the point is that this is Singapore. Everyone is on their phones. I didn't know that. I see this girl who's on a call who just picks up the call and I called her. So I see this girl and I'm like, okay, let's sit with her. सबसे पहले I sat with the wrong girl and when I sat with her, I was just looking at her. She's looking at me in a weird way. Then this other girl on the side is like, hey, aren't you supposed to come here? And I was just looking at her and then just I realized that, oh shit, I sat with the wrong person. Now floor seating, it's a little awkward to sit down, a little awkward to get up. So I got up, sat with the right person after that. Now once I sat with her, the initial phase was a little awkward because of course I sat with the wrong girl. So we were laughing about it, we were talking about it. Next thing, the menu comes. Now the menu comes with all exquisite names. Ab pehle meko pata hi nahi hai what does this mean? And I've never tried sushi before and I used to hate raw fish. I had never tried raw fish before actually. So I saw the menu and she's like, okay, I'll try some sushi. And I was like, okay, cool, same for me. Now comes chocolate sushi, which I've never tried before. And I was just seeing the prices. So I was on a student's budget. Pricing dekh ke meri fat chuki thi that, oh, how am I going to pay like $200-300 after the date? I have a daily budget of $30. So pricing dekh ke I was a little traumatized that, okay, I have to pay all of this. So the sushi came, the food came and everything was on the table. Now I had I'd never eaten sushi before this. I'd never eaten raw fish. I didn't know that people would eat raw fish. I'd never tried Japanese cuisine before this. So this is the first time. Now I take it and I'm expecting something chocolate. I'm expecting a dessert, right? So I take this and I eat this expecting a dessert, and I really want to puke because it's disgusting. The flavor was completely disgusting. That's what I felt at that moment, and I wanted to puke, but I couldn't do it because I was on date. So I just had to run away from the table, go to the washroom and puke. Now once I puked, there was a little bit puke on my shirt and it was just embarrassing. And I was thinking, I can't go back like this. I really can't go back like this. So I paid the girls the money online and I just went away from there. I just didn't have what it took to actually face her again. And that was my first horrible date. So imagine a guy doing cold approach, 3 months of stress, doing his first approach, getting his first number, texting her for 3 months, and this is the first date experience. That's what I don't want to happen with you. So let's talk about the 10 first date mistakes which most men are making, and I'm sure you would be making at least 5 of them. Now most men, when they're going out on a first date, they don't break that barrier of physical touch with a girl. What happens because of that, the whole date becomes a little awkward, and once you have to touch the woman actually, whether it's holding her hand, giving her a hug, or going in for the kiss, it sort of feel forced. So sabse pehle, whenever you're going out on a date, just give her a hug. Hey, long time no see. Doesn't matter if you're meeting her for the first time through an online date, doesn't matter if you're meeting her for the second time, because if you do not break that barrier of touch, hoga kya? When you're talking to her and when you actually want to make a move, it looks super awkward. Now once you've broken that barrier of touch, it's time to lead the woman to the restaurant, to the table, wherever you're going, and make sure that you're seated in a round table setting where you're side to side rather than opposite. Because the moment you're opposite, it's very hard for you to escalate sexually. Now what I would do if I'm caught in this kind of a setting where I'm sitting across the girl, I would either tell the waiter, hey, why don't you put a seat on the side so that I can sit over there and I can talk to her clearly and I can just be a little bit more closer to her, have more proximity. Or I would just tell the girl, hey, I can't hear you. Why don't you just come up over here, sit by the side. Now this is very important because the moment you want to actually physically touch the girl or you want to physically escalate, you need the girl to be on your side. If you do it across the table, it's going to look super awkward and the girl will feel that you're invading a personal space. So is wajah se it's very important to select the location where the girl is sitting right besides you, which brings me to the next point, location selection. This is where most men mess up as well. Now for me, the location selection was, I was 17 years old, I selected a fine dining Japanese restaurant. A fine dining Japanese restaurant is definitely going to be super expensive. So if you're a student, select a place with a student's budget. If you don't have a budget, go out on a date, maybe like a walk or a morning run. The thing is that you have to select the location according to what your capacity of spending is, according to the place you want. Don't go to movie theaters, don't go to loud bars, don't go to clubs, because these are the places where you'll not be able to communicate that much. Instead, select locations which are near your house. Ya to aapke ghar ke paas ho ya uske ghar ke paas ho, so that if you want to move the date to a more private location, you can. And there's not a lot of objections either from the girl side or either from your side that you have to travel a lot. So always select something in the middle, and it's preferred if you can select something near her place or near your place if you want the date to end up at your place. Now let's talk about the mistakes men make when they're actually talking to the girl. The first mistake that most men make is they start complimenting the girl way too early. As soon as they meet a girl, hey, you look beautiful, you look gorgeous. Problem with that, 99% of the guys have already told her that. So it's a very forgettable compliment. Tum jaise hi usko bolte ho, you fall in that category of 99% of the other guys. Now once you fall in that category, the girl is going to be like, oh, he's just complimenting me on my looks. But you can actually compliment her and make her feel a lot more invested in the conversation by complimenting her energy, by complimenting her vibe, by complimenting her presence, by complimenting how she thinks, because not many people do that. So the compliment doesn't matter in itself, but when you give the compliment actually matters a lot too. So have that deep eye contact when you're giving her the compliment. Don't give her the compliment in the initial phase of the date, because that's what she would be expecting. Give her the compliment when she would be least expecting it, and sort of build this sexual tension, looking deep into her eyes and playing with your facial expressions, having a little smirk on your face. Now after the compliment, you guys probably sit down and you're talking to each other. You're getting to know the girl and you're sharing things about yourself too. Another mistake most men make, and this was a mistake recently a guy made in my coaching, and I was like, hey man, why did you have to share all of those details with the girl you're meeting for the first time? He's like, I just feel I could really connect to her. That is the problem. Once you start feeling that you could really connect to a woman and you're like, okay, let me just open up to this girl, what actually happens is she feels that this guy needs a therapist, not a date. This guy's telling me about all his problems, all the things that is bad in his life, and that is the exact problem. You might be sharing how you feel, but the girl might be thinking this guy needs a therapist more than actually a date. And this problem arises because as men, there are a lot of things that we cannot share with our friends, but we can share with a stranger, especially with a girl, because we feel comforted. And women who are more feminine, they have this nurturing nature which sort of makes us feel that we can really open up to them. The problem lies over there, because the moment you do that, the girl loses attraction. और यही हुआ मेरे client के साथ भी, and that is exactly what is going to happen if you overshare whatever you're feeling. Now oversharing is a big issue because most guys end up oversharing about their past traumas, about their relationships. होता क्या है, they're meeting a person for the first time, एक thread of conversation खुलता है जहाँ पे वो relationships में जाते हैं and the guy starts blabbering about his relationship. That is the most low value thing you can do in a woman's eye, because if you are saying bad things about your past relationship, the woman is going to feel यार ये कल को किसी और डेट पे जाएगा and he is going to say the same bad things about me. So that is a very low value trait. So whenever a woman asks you about your past relationship, just be like, I had a beautiful experience, but I don't like to dwell in the past. Now I had this one client who was like, hey man, I have had no experiences. I was a virgin before I joined your program and now I'm getting dates, and how do I address this question? Because the moment I tell them that मैंने किसी को date नहीं किया, they start losing interest, and that also happens with a lot of guys. So if you don't have any experience, what can you do? You can just make it a little bit more fun and you can be like, hey, I was saving myself for you. I had a few experiences, but they don't matter. I don't like to dwell in the past. I don't want to talk about any of them. Now with this, you're setting a clear boundary that you don't want to talk about your past experiences. Now comes the ethical question. Whether you want to talk about your past experiences or whether you don't, that's completely on you. But as a man, what I would recommend, if you're a guy who's looking for something long term, if a woman asks you about your past experiences in the initial phase of meeting each other and getting to know each other, usko bolo ki I've had limited experiences, maybe we can talk about it once I'm more comfortable. And once you get more comfortable, once you've been with her for a month, 2 months, then you can just tell her clearly, hey, honestly, I've had no experiences, but I thought that this would turn you off, so that's why I said that. So if you've had a first date recently and the girl is not coming on a second date, the problem is that you didn't keep her engaged enough emotionally. Now, if you're thinking ki hua kya hai mere sath, what is the problem? Where does the problem lie? And if you're not where you want to be in your dating life, I would strongly recommend schedule a call with my team, click the pinned comment, and we can definitely help you analyze and we can help you understand what we can actually work on. So this problem does not happen with you, because I completely understand that this is one of the biggest problems that sort of puts you in a lingo and a confusion that you're constantly thinking about your own self, your own self-worth, your own self-identity, your self-esteem goes down. So don't let that happen to you. All you need to do is click the pinned comment and schedule a call. Now that being said, let's talk about the conversations. So तुम लड़की से बात कर रहे हो, you're having a conversation. Now most guys like to play it safe over here. Play it safe मतलब कि मैं ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोलना चाहता कि लड़की मेरे को like ना करे और she starts disliking me. I just want to be and act cool. I just want to be very simple. I want to act very simple. I don't want to say anything obnoxious. I hope I don't say anything obnoxious. So what most guys do is, because they're thinking too much, they're thinking how to impress the girl, they're thinking the best things to say, they're not actually enjoying the present moment. तो वो उसको एक interview mode पे ले जाते हैं. Oh, what are your hobbies? What are your passions? What do you like to do when you're not working? Now with this, the girl feels that it's a forced conversation, and also she's been talking to so many guys of dating apps. She's been meeting so many people of her social circle that she feels that this is a very generic conversation. और जहाँ उसको लगने लग जाता है कि it's a generic conversation, she would put you in that slot with 99% of the other men and she would lose interest drastically. So don't make that mistake. Instead of asking her basic questions, try asking her questions which gives conversation an emotional depth. Questions like, what was the last thing that you did that made you feel alive? Now these kind of questions are more emotionally engaging than what are your hobbies and what are your passions. If you want me to make a video on 10 questions that you can ask on a first date, let me know in the comment section below. But once you ask these kind of questions, the woman gets emotionally engrossed in the conversation. Not only that, now once you ask her these questions, the girl gets emotionally invested in the conversation. अब सिर्फ questions नहीं पूछने. That is also a big problem that most guys make, is they keep on asking the questions और conversation बहुत forced लगती है. What you actually need to do, you need to have that flirty vibe, you need to have that flirty banter instead of just chatting and having an interview mode question and answer game. तो इसको समझने के लिए सबसे पहले तुम्हें समझना पड़ेगा, why is a woman coming out on a date with you? A woman is coming out on a date with you because not only she wants to know you, but she wants to feel that tension. She wants to feel that emotional tension. She wants to feel a variety of emotions. She wants to feel excited. She wants to feel happy. She wants to feel, even a little frustrated. Maybe she's stuck in traffic. She wants to feel a wide range of emotions. She wants to enjoy that date. She wants to get ready for that date. But for a guy, he's just thinking about impressing the girl. He's just thinking about getting laid. He's just thinking about, oh, I really like her. I hope she likes me too. Now, what a woman craves on the first date is that emotional tension, having that deep eye contact, making her feel different emotions just with your non-verbal communication. Having a deep eye contact really works because it makes the woman feel that sexual tension, and also playing with your smirk, playing with your facial expressions, having a little bit of physicality. That is what makes her feel a lot of different emotions, and that is exactly what she's craving on the first date. Now, 99% of the guys don't build that sexual tension on the first date. Why? Because they're thinking of impressing the woman. They're thinking, I hope she likes me. And because of that, they're playing it too safe. This is also the biggest mistake that I see a lot of guys making. They're thinking, oh, this girl is so gorgeous, this girl is so beautiful. They start idealizing the girl that, she's so innocent, she's so nice. Let me just go and let me just sort of be in her good books, because if she likes me, I might have more chances. But because of that, you're over-analyzing the things, you're not enjoying the present moment. Because you're not enjoying the present moment, you're thinking too much about how to impress her. And because you're thinking about how to impress her, you're qualifying yourself. तुम अपनी job की बात करने लग जाते हो, तुम अपने career की बात करने लग जाते हो. You start talking about logical things that sort of show that you are selling overfilling yourself. और तुम सोचते हो कि उन सब चीजों से लड़की को मुझसे इंप्रेस हो जाना चाहिए, because that is what we have been taught with social conditioning, with Bollywood, कि अगर तुम्हारे पास ज्यादा पैसा है, you have social status, you have looks, you are definitely gonna get the girl. And then we start logically trying to convince the girl why we are the best options. 99% of the guys make this mistake throughout their interaction. They don't even know about this. Now, the moment you start showing the girl why you're logically the best option for her, guess what happens? It reeks of desperation. It reeks of desperation, and she loses interest really fast. Now, that brings me to the 8th mistake, and this generally happens because of the 7th mistake itself. When you're trying to impress the girl, is you over-filtered everything. You're not being the real you. You're not being authentic to who you are. Rather than that, you're just over-filtering and thinking about the projection of you that she would actually like. Let me explain this. This is actually a very important concept. So when you're out on a first date with a person, you're thinking about that person and what that person would actually like, what kind of traits that person would actually like in you. Then you start pretending and playing that part. Now the same goes for the other person. She's also thinking, what kind of a woman would she actually like? Now what happens because of this? You're not 2 people on the date, there are 4 people on the date. The person you are, the person she is, the person you're projecting to be, and the person she is projecting to be. And the authenticity is lost. Now that generally happens in 99% of the first dates. But if you can authentically be yourself by being socially calibrated, now understand this. I'm not just saying be yourself. Because be yourself means that you're giving in on your emotions and you're acting based on your emotions. कि अगर मेरे को ये share करना है, मैं लड़की के साथ ये share कर दूंगा. These are the problems going in my life. Let me just tell her about my problems. Let me tell her about my issues. It really does not matter. Shouldn't go like this. You have to be socially calibrated. That you can be yourself, but these are the things that you shouldn't share. Because more than the things you should share, matter the things that you shouldn't share. Because if you share anything with a girl that she might consider a red flag, वो आगे तुमसे बात नहीं करेगी. She will not meet you for a second date. So stop over-filtering yourself. Speak freely and don't be too cautious कि मैं उसको offend कर दूंगा. अगर तुम उसको offend करने से इतना डरते रहोगे, you will never be able to show her true desire. And that's what a woman actually wants to see on a first date. It's that true desire that a man feels for a woman. And if she feels that true desire, she's gonna get emotionally invested in the conversation. But if she does not feel that true desire, it's just gonna be like any other meetup, a first meetup with another. अगर तुम इतना डरते रहोगे उसको offend करने से, you will never be able to inspire true desire. Let me explain that. You will never be able to show her that you're unapologetically attracted to her, and that is what a woman actually wants to feel on a first date. She wants to feel desired, and that's why she's out on a date with you. Because you're so afraid of offending her, you will also be afraid of being non-apologetic about your attraction, which a woman really wants. Now, for the 9th biggest blunder that most men make on first dates is when the bill comes. Now, the bill comes and you're just looking at her, she's looking at you, and you're expecting her to pay. Now, you need to understand this about different cultures. Especially in Indian culture, if you're going out on a date, on a first date with a woman, it's expected for a man to pay for the first date, especially if you're asking out a girl. If you as a man are asking a girl out to come on a first date with you, you should be the one who's paying. Now, if you can't afford the location, select an entirely different environment. I would not suggest selecting a really high-end venue. Now, generally what I would like to do is I would make the payment for the first date, and if the girl offers to pay, I would tell her, hey, why don't you take the second one? Now, this also secures your second date, plus you also end up paying on the date, which sort of makes you seem more gentlemanly. And that's the image that you want to project in the girl's head. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to comment below, what about feminism? What about girls paying on the first dates? What about equality? Now, traveling 15 plus countries, one thing I've realized is every place has a different culture. In Europe, it was a different culture. In Singapore, it was a different culture. In India, it's a different culture. And you have to calibrate according to the culture of the country that you're in. So if you're in a country like India and Singapore, as a man, you're expected to pay. And that's just how it goes. So you can wish the world was different. You can wish there was guys' night out in clubs and bars where they give free drinks to guys. You can wish all of that, but none of that is going to come true. But that also brings me to the second point. If I'm expecting something long-term with a girl, and I'm the one who's always paying, and maybe we're going to expensive places, it's going to break the bank. So you also need to set that boundary that you're not the only one who's always paying. Because if you do that, then you set a frame. Once you set a frame, it's very hard to go back on that frame, and then the woman is going to abuse you, and you're going to be like, oh, all girls are gold diggers. But the problem is that you didn't set a strong boundary, that it's just the first date that you're paying for, and the second and the third date, maybe you're going to split. Now, for the final mistake, you didn't lead the ending. Let me explain. Now, the date is coming to an end, and you actually enjoyed the time with her. What are you going to do next? You're just going to tell her, hey, so do you want to meet up sometime? Now, with that, it sort of shows uncertainty. It doesn't show desire. So rather than that, I would strongly recommend when a date is coming to an end, try to seed that idea of going to your place or spending some personal time together, some time in a private place. And for the final mistake, you did not lead the ending. Let me explain this. So the date is coming to an end and you're awkwardly telling her, hey, I really enjoyed, we should do this again sometime. Problem with that, shows uncertainty, doesn't show desire. What you should do instead is you should lead the date to your place. Seed the idea that you would actually like to spend more time with her. Lead that date from point A to point B. Let me explain. You can either take her to your place, you can go to her place, if that is an option. If that is not an option, maybe after the restaurant, you can go to grab some ice cream, maybe some coffee, whatever. But the point is to change the environment. Why? Because once you change the environment, builds a lot of trust in the woman's head, because you and the woman are constant while the environment is ever changing. So once you shift from point A to point B, it's more likely that you can shift from point B to point C. So if you're shifting from a restaurant to an ice cream parlor, more likely you can shift from an ice cream parlor to your place, because there's a lot of trust that builds up. And if you're doing it for the first few times, I would recommend being present on the date, just enjoying that time, enjoying that moment with the girl, and thinking, why is the girl there out on a date with you? Because she actually wants to see you, she wants to meet you. So looking at it like a positive assumption, not having a negative assumption, not being scared that, oh, I have to impress the girl, I have to do certain things, I have to be someone who I'm not just to make her like me. Don't think about all of those things. Instead, just go there with an open mind to enjoy the date. And if you're not able to lead the date, lead the ending. And if you're not able to lead the ending towards your place or towards her place, don't worry. What you should do instead is just tell her, hey, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed spending my time with you. Let's do this again. How about next Saturday? I know this amazing coffee place. We can do this next Saturday afternoon. Now, once you're done with the date, what happens after the first date is equally important for you to set the second date. If you want me to talk about that, let me know in the comment section below. And if you're a guy who needs help with his dating life, feel like your dating life is not where you want it to be, all you need to do is click the pinned comment, schedule a call with my team, and we're going to help you build a customized plan for your own dating life.